Welcome, everybody. Today, we're diving into one of the most exciting community-led events in the Star Citizen universe, Quantum Vegas 2955. It's all going down this July at the iconic Area 15 in Las Vegas. Joining us is the visionary behind it all, GriffinGamingRPG, the creator of Quantum Vegas. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me. Glad to do this with you.
Of course, of course. Now, to kick things off, let's go into a bit of the backstory. What inspired you to launch Quantum Vegas 2955, or what did it take for the idea to come together?
Well, believe it or not, I'm actually an old EVE Online player. I started playing EVE probably after its third year, and I remember on the 10th year celebration, I was so committed to the game that I wanted to actually travel to their annual convention that they hold over in Iceland. I had gotten my ticket and everything, and my flight ticket, and was ready to go. And when it was time to buy tickets, the tickets were sold out, and I couldn't make it. Right, and so as you might know, years later, there were a community of EVE players here in North America, in the U.S., who quite often couldn't make the trip to Iceland, and they decided to do an event in Las Vegas, and they called it EVE Vegas. And it started out with a very small group of people and has grown over the years into having several hundred people that come to Las Vegas annually. And the thing that was really unique about it was that CCP, the company that makes EVE Online, actually began to send their staff. And it became like a partnership where it was both community and people from the gaming company to work together to do these annual events. And I always thought it was very cool. I never got to go to it, but I have gone to events here in the US, and I've gone to Texas, I've gone to California, I've gone to St. Louis, all over for various bar citizens, but I never saw something that was like a collaboration between community and CIG at that level, even though CIG has always been supportive of bar citizen scenarios and situations, and other cons like Equinox and some others that have happened in the past. So that was kind of where the genesis of it came from.
I love that. I didn't really know all that about the EVE lore, so thank you.
Mm-hmm.
With that being spun up, though, how did that kind of transition for you? Because you've been part of the Star Citizen player base for quite some time. How did
Mm-hmm.
your experience in Star Citizen kind of shape your vision for Quantum Vegas?
Strangely enough, in 2016, I went to my first Star Citizen Con, and it was a great experience. It was the year I retired, and it was like a little treat to myself because it was a month after I retired, and I had a great time out in Los Angeles. But that following year, there was an event, a community-led event called VerseCon. And VerseCon was designed to be an event that happened simultaneously when CitizenCon was happening, when it was happening overseas. So there would be like a simulcast, right, of all these folks coming together. It was in Austin, Texas, and we got to watch CitizenCon live with a group of people. There were probably somewhere between 150, 200 people that came to that event. And it was really great. It was really nice to be able to, if you couldn't make that trip to Germany or the UK, to be able to come someplace and meet with folks. That following year, we were back in the United States. We were in Austin in 2018. And then 2019, VerseCon once again tried to do it. It wasn't as successful as it was the previous time. And then there have been other cons here. Most recently, I went to Equinox back in 2024 when it was held in Columbus, Ohio. They had a similar thing where their first year, very successful. Second year, it grew. Third year, they had another event. And after going to these events and seeing, how they were successful, maybe the areas that were difficulties for them, tried to look at that and say, well, what can we do that would be something that's annual, that happens in the same place, and where people kind of start to understand that this is something that will happen here in North America, in the United States, that they could go to. Mostly also, Cloud Imperium now has a headquarters now in the UK, as you know. And really the future of Citizen Cons, not that there's anything bad, we just don't know where they're going to go with it. Whether they'll continue to travel around the country or whether they'll focus on having it there. But in the meantime, we would love this to be the premier citizen-led, partnered with CIG event that takes place. And of course, it takes a lot of work to do this. And we know CIG has its own agenda and its own schedule, but we're hoping that they'll continue to be supportive of it, as they have been. They've been very supportive of this event as we've been putting it together. So it's our inaugural, it's our freshman event. And hopefully, it's going to be something that'll be really special for folks that attend it.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to it. So speaking about what you have planned, what is kind of for the people that haven't actually gone through and looked at the program, what's the rundown look like for our schedule for the Quantum Vegas event?
It's actually a full day event. We're going to start opening doors at 8 a.m. that morning at Area 15 in Las Vegas, Nevada. We've got a 1 hour registration for people to kind of get together and talk and shake hands and see old faces and new faces. And then the event kicks off at 9 a.m. that morning with a welcome program. And we've got some great hosts that are going to be there. DaPoets, one of our community content creators, is going to be one of our co-hosts. And also Kim Ellis. Kim Ellis does the voice for an actress in machinimas that are made by EE Studios, particularly the Huxley Group. She plays this character called Ava. And so she is also going to be co-hosting along with DaPoets throughout the day. And then throughout the day, we have various sessions. They're not panels necessarily. I guess you could say panels a little bit, but they're more sessions. We have people who are going to be speaking from Cloud Imperium Games, such as Sean Tracy, who is going to be there, who is the community content creator. I'm sorry, not community content creator. He's the senior director of tools and tech content at Cloud Imperium. Also, Galactica is going to be there, who's over social media for the company. And then Tyler Witkin, who is over the community managers, is going to be there as well. And then from our community, we have people like Starjump Grim from Starjump Station, who's going to be there speaking. Also, Nate Ellis, the producer, director, and writer over at EE Studios, will be doing a great session on making machinima. And this is going to be a variety of things. We're going to have a big content panel for community folks to come together. We also have Daniel Raymond from Ray's Guide, who just recently is coming up on board as a part of the team as a moderator as well for a mission builder session that we're going to be doing. And then, of course, there are things like trivia. There's going to be giveaways. I think we've got over 30 giveaways that we're doing. We have a lot of corporate sponsorship from companies like Thrustmaster, Monster Tech, Elgato, Icon City, many others that are going to be supporting us. And of course, we have a lot of community support as well. So it's going to be a pretty busy day from 8 that morning till probably 6 in the evening.
That's awesome. One of my favorite things at how you kind of describe this event is a event for the community by the community. And out of that, we've got a lot of events like the Mission Builder Showdown, the Community Panel, and even Machinima of the Year Award. Can you talk a little bit more about how those pieces celebrate the player's creativity as a whole?
One of the things that Cloud Imperium was actually adamant about was that the event focused on community. And that was one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we would do. Naturally, people love to come and hear folks from CIG when they come and talk and share information about the game. But community has always been a central part of the development process for this particular game. And so we made sure that there were things that also highlighted our community in a special way. You mentioned one of them in particular, which is new. We're calling it the QVM, the Quantum Vegas Machinima Award. And we're hoping that this will be something that we'll be able to do annually, where we'll recognize content creators in our community who've put together these incredible machinima offerings that we get to watch and enjoy via YouTube, through social media. These things have been done probably since 2015. And boy, those were rough days to try to put together a machinima, but these folks did some really amazing things. So this year, we're recognizing certain content creators that have produced over the last 6 years. But then we're also doing an official 2024 award, and that'll be for any machinimas that were released in the last year. And then, of course, if we have the event next year, it'll be for 2025 and so on and so on. The Mission Builder panel is something that we're going to have that's interactive with the community, where we're going to hear things that the community would love to see in the game. And we're going to have a great panel about that. It's going to be like a little big icebreaker, but it's going to be a lot of fun. But the emphasis really for us and also for Cloud Imperium is that we really emphasize community. And hopefully that'll be the big emphasis that comes out of this for folks.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to all of it. And so you kind of spoke on some of the notable voices from across the Star Citizen community. What did you do to curate the lineup of speakers and panelists? And what kind of insights will they be sharing throughout the convention?
Well, I would probably say, if nothing else, relationships. That's one of the great things about being in this community for over 13 years now, is getting to meet and know people. Last year, one of the people that I met for the very first time, even though I've been following him for a long time, and on our live stream for Soul Citizens we've had, is Starjump Grim. I went to Equinox in Columbus last year and got a chance to give him a big hug, and we laughed, and it was just great. It's always great, you know this, putting a face with a voice, right? It's always great within our community when we get to do that. And so he has contributed so much to our community, even though he's very humble and modest about it. He's inspired us into what Star Citizen can be. And so he was one of the first people when I spoke last year at Equinox. I began to talk to him a little bit about this idea, and he was on board right from the very beginning. Nate Ellis, known as Natronix in our community over EE Studios, another person who has just been incredible in the entertainment that he's provided to us through a series of machinima that he has produced over the many years of difficulty with the game itself, and bringing together a community, working with folks over at HubNet to bring the machinima community together. And so he was another person. I met him in Los Angeles 2 years ago, and he's a great guy. He and his wife, we're really looking forward to them being there as well. And then there's people like SeriousFun, who works with us as Soul Citizens, one of my co-producers, who's going to be also a moderator at the event. I cannot, of course, forget to mention Paul Shelley, the Astro Pup, the Astro Historian, who has contributed so much to our community as well. Very well-known face, who's our lore master, I would almost say, when it comes to this community. And he is also going to be doing a panel as well. And then, of course, as I mentioned earlier, folks from CIG, Sean Tracy, and Tyler Witkin in particular, getting to hear voices that represent Cloud Imperium games. So it's going to be, again, these are just great relationships that over the years we've been able to connect with. And Meet and Tyler's always been very supportive of us as far as my group with Soul Citizens, and also with our community just in general. So we're looking forward to seeing them there.
Now moving on to the venue itself, Area 15. It's an amazing immersive experience. I honestly think it's a perfect fit for this convention. But what really drew you to this location?
Well, believe it or not, it was people like you. You were one of the people who had been to this venue and said it's a pretty amazing place. I have a couple other friends. A friend Almost Ova, who is in California but travels to Vegas often. We were actually looking at their sister location, which was a Luminarium initially. And Almost mentioned, he said, well, there's this other place too, but I'm not sure if it's what you're looking for. And so I think one of my other co-partners in this, CC Creator, had been to Las Vegas as well. And he travels anyway, and he mentioned this place. So we started looking at it. And once we found out about it, even though I've gone to Vegas several times, I was unaware of this venue. It's fairly new. It's only been open for about 4 years. But it's basically a geek's playground, is basically what it comes down to, I think. It's a place that people who are into things like us, like gaming and gaming entertainment, can go in and spend an entire day or maybe even 2 days just going all over this 200,000 square foot venue. It's an amazing facility. And then we found out that they actually have a corporate meeting space there. And so we thought maybe this might be the place that we could go to that offers not only connection for the community for Star Citizen, but also a weekend of entertainment for people who would actually be willing to make the trip and come out to Las Vegas for our event.
Yeah, and speaking of the location, you were just there recently, and as you mentioned, I have been there in the past, but in your opinion, what are kind of the highlights for what attendees can look forward to, for what they can do outside of the Quantum Vegas convention?
Well, as you know, one of the traditional things for when events like this happen is a bar citizen. And so even though our event is on Saturday, July the 12th, on Friday the 11th, we're having a bar citizen that's starting at 6:30 p.m. that evening. And it's going to be held at Area 15. This will give people an opportunity to kind of walk around the venue, see what it has to offer, and of course, go to the bar and share drinks and great conversation with other people who are attending that weekend. And that's a free event. Anyone who's a part of our community, and even friends of that, can come to that event and enjoy it. But the venue itself has dozens of wonderful things that people can do. There are AR spaces in there. They have AR dodgeball. They have a VR Army of the Dead battle that goes on in there, an experience. There are several bars. There's the main bar that we're going to be at, which is called Oddwood, but there's a secondary bar that we'll also be at called the Asylum Bar. And it's kind of a throwback. It's an arcade with pool tables and old school arcade games, skee ball, all types of things like that. They also have a lot of other things. There's a 5-iron golf area for people who want to do golfing. Not real golfing, yours is indoors. There's a Grand Prix racing sim. There's dueling axes, which always seems to be popular with folks. And then, of course, as I mentioned earlier, there's a Luminarium, which is just a block away. They also have a thing called the John Wick experience that I hear is amazing. Didn't get to see that yet. There's a laser maze. There's another bar outside called the Liftoff, which goes up into the air that you can see a great view of Las Vegas from. And then, of course, there's the thing that you talked to me about, which I have not experienced yet, even though we were there, which is Meow Wolf, the Omega Mart. And I hear that that is an amazing, immersive experience that that will freak your mind out, basically, if you go to that thing. So there's lots of other things that I didn't even mention that are at this venue. And as you know, it is a huge venue with a lot of offerings, and not to mention restaurants, food, bar, things like that, right? Shops, all types of cool stuff. There's also another great offering that we have that we've worked with the folks over at Area 15, where they're offering special discounts to attendees of our event. If you come on Friday for the Bar Citizen, if you come on Saturday, there's a special coupon code that is given out to folks. Not a coupon code, it's just a code. And if you have your ID or your badge, you'll be able to get discounts of anywhere from 5 to 15%, maybe I think even 20% in some cases, in various locations throughout the facility. Some of the entertainment is discounted, some of the restaurants are discounted. So that's another great reason for folks to come out and explore Area 15 as a part of joining us for Quantum Vegas 2955.
Yeah, it's definitely a great place, and a place that you can spend more than a day there, that's for sure. One of the other things, so clearly this event didn't happen all on your own. So what are some of the shout outs for some of those key collaborators and partners that are really helping bring Quantum Vegas to life?
Yeah. Well, again, so much of this was about relationship, and there were a lot of people that I pulled on because of relationship that I felt would not only be committed to an event like this, but also their commitment to the Star Citizen community. People like yourself, who I've known for quite a while, we're brothers over at Squadron. Then there are the people who I've actually formed the initial group with here, CC Creator and SeriousFun, who work with me over with Soul Citizens. They were the first two people that I spoke to. They both have experience in doing large-scale events, and this was more because of their real-world experience on being able to put together events like this that I brought them on board. And they're also the people who are financially vested into this event, because as you know, they didn't give us Area 15 for free. And so there is some responsibility on a financial level that we have to use a venue like this for such a wonderful event. There are plenty of other people. One of the surprise people that came on board with us was Commander Fran from Beacon Events. He's in Germany, and he is actually flying over to come over and assist us, and has been helping us in the background and sharing information about his hurdles with putting on Beacon to help us avoid some of the hurdles and pitfalls that can happen when doing events like this. As again, I've mentioned some of the other people, such as Paul Shelley, DaPoets, who's also working with us. We have NicAtNight, who is with Bar Citizen International. He has come on board to assist us in making sure that the Friday event goes off smoothly, and working with the residents and folks that live in the Vegas area to pull off this really great event. I know I'm probably missing other names. I mentioned Star Jump Grim already. Nate Ellis I've mentioned already. These are all people that just over the years I've come to know in some way and see their commitment to the Star Citizen community. And they've come on board and said this is something that they would like to help us launch and make it a success. And so we're excited to have all these folks with us. Fastcart, I didn't mention my buddy Fastcart from Soul Citizens. He's going to be there helping out with registration. And we've got other folks who've just stepped up and said, hey, I'd like to volunteer to do what we can to help you guys make this thing happen. So we're very thankful for all the people who've extended themselves, because this is no small task to do an event like this, as you know.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that really makes Star Citizen stand out. And it's one thing I always try to explain to people that don't understand Star Citizen is it's not just the game, it's the community. The community is what really brings all of this together.
Mm-hmm.
So talking about community, one of the big things is in this game, it's all about building worlds and communities, and it's important to have physical touch points like this. Why would somebody want to come to an event like this? Why are things like this important in a community like Star Citizen?
You know, it's interesting. We're not the ones who came up with this. It's really Cloud Imperium. The folks there, they started this whole thing with Star Citizen and Squadron 42 based around connecting with the community. Now, some people may say, well, it was just about the money. And I would agree that obviously money's needed to do any type of development and software. It's not money and time, right? But there was another integral part, and it was the fact of bringing the community to make them feel that they are a part of what's going on, that they have a voice, and that they've bought on to the dream that Chris Roberts has. One of the things that is always so difficult is when we try to tell people, and you've done this before, I'm sure, you try to tell people you need to go to CitizenCon. If you can go, you need to go. You tell people, go to a Bar Citizen. You need to go try it. because there's something that happens when you go and connect with other people, like-minded people, who are looking for and searching for the same desire for a great game that Chris Roberts wants to produce. It's affirming, first of all, to know that there are other people who might be feeling the same excitement and also the same frustrations that you are going through. It's also great because we get to connect not just with each other, but the fact that Cloud Imperium extends their staff to these events and you get to talk with them directly. And one of the things that Jared Huckabee has said many a time on shows like SCL and ISC, he says that it's important to humanize the people that work there and that we realize that these are people just like us who also have families, have jobs, but they also are passionate about the job that they do. And one of the things that when you meet these people, you don't feel like they're reading off a script. You feel like they are excited, that they're excited to not only work at the company that they work at, but they're excited to meet us as the people who are in the community. And not just because we pay their rent, but because they genuinely are excited because our energy feeds into them and it makes them go back to work even harder when they see that the energy that we have. So the idea of community coming together for a game that quote unquote is not finished, which is amazing to me, right? I mean, in 2016, when I went to Los Angeles, there were 800 attendees. And last year, when you and I went to the UK, there were over 4,000 attendees. It's amazing to see something like that happen for a game like this that's in development. And I think it's going to continue to be something that people understand that coming together is so important. And the fact that CIG even has a international bar citizen, calendar where people can meet from all over the world and come together, just kind of re-emphasizes how important it is for us to connect this community in real world ways, not just online.
I love that. And I completely agree. I couldn't have said it better myself. I've been in the gaming industry for over a decade now, and I don't think I've seen another gaming company that has a better comm dev experience than Star Citizen has. And speaking of that, how do you expect Quantum Vegas, the long-term impact? What would you like to see for that impact on the community to be on a large scale for the veteran players that have been around since the beginning, as well as those that maybe just joined right now in Invictus launch week?
I know, as I mentioned earlier, this got inspired by what was going on with EVE players with EVE Vegas. And I would hope that our event would also be something that wouldn't be just this one-off, that we will be able to do this annually and that CIG will feel very comfortable and assured that their participation is also a part of their dream and vision for our community. We would love for folks, a lot of times it takes a little bit to make a trip like this, and that's understood. The reason why we picked Las Vegas is because Vegas is the entertainment capital, quote unquote, of the world. And there are some people that will just come to Vegas because all you got to say is it's in Vegas and they're going to show up. Doesn't make a difference what you're having. But we want people to also be able to have a Vegas weekend. That's the idea. So even though we have that Bar Citizen on Friday, we've got the event on Saturday. Many of us are going to go brunch for what we call a bar brunch or, star brunch the next day. There are people who will make a weekend out of it. They'll come down Thursday, they may leave Monday, and they'll enjoy themselves for the weekend. We want to be a part of a great weekend for folks. We do know that it takes an investment to do this, but you and I both know when we go to a Citizen Con, it's the same thing. We know that there are people who are veterans who've gone many a time. Last year, when we were in Los Angeles, we had somebody in our group who had never gone before, and we encouraged them. We said, you should try to go. And after they went, they didn't regret it by any means. They're like, I can't wait to go to the next one. It's an experience. And it's very difficult. I know it sounds cliche, but once you go to one of these things, you really start to realize why people travel literally from around the world to go to one of these events. And we hope that our event will also be not just for people in North America, but for people who may come from Canada, from Europe, from Germany, from Asia, people who might decide to say, hey, I want to go over to the United States and hang out in Vegas that weekend. And I know there's a Star Citizen thing going on too. We would love to have people be able to come out for that in the future as well.
Yeah, and that's what I would love for it. Have it as an annual event where we get people just coming up. It's it's Vegas weekend. Every July, come out here and talk about Star Citizen and hang out. So for any of those that we still have maybe on the fence and we haven't really convinced who have maybe never gone to any community event, whether that's for Star Citizen or any game in general, what would you say would make Quantum Vegas worth the entire trip?
Well, I would say this one in particular is our very first one. And you can say, I was there when it got started, right? Like a lot of us say about Star Citizen. I was there when it got started. But again, one of the things this year is that we know that Cloud Imperium is not putting on a in-person CitizenCon. It's going to be online. And understandable in many ways, but also a little disappointing because that coming together, especially as we're getting closer and closer to Squadron 42, feels even more important. And so we're offering this as an opportunity for folks who maybe can't go to Germany. Maybe they can't go to the UK. Maybe they can't go to Austin, but they can come to Las Vegas and they can come and get that same sentiment and feeling. They can connect with folks from Cloud Imperium Games and have great conversations and ask questions. We've got an opportunity, a social media time where folks will be able to come together and take photographs and there's selfies with folks who are part of the, from Cloud Imperium and people from our community. So if you ever want to meet Paul Shelley, I'm sure he's going to have his space helmet and you can take a photo with him. But it's going to be just a full day of people who really, really support the development of this game and the direction that it's going. And there will be opportunities to ask questions of Cloud Imperium, and they're going to be prepared to answer some questions from you folks, but also just to once again reconnect, reinforcing the bond of community within the Star Citizen community. I think is just so important, and I think people will really enjoy themselves. Not to mention, get to have a few drinks in Las Vegas, so that'll be good.
Yeah, that's always perfect. Well, hey, Griff, I thank you for your time today. It's been amazing chatting with you about this, and can't wait to see you in actually less than a couple months. So
yeah, we're counting down, right? We're less than 50 days, 40 something days. I don't know how many days it's counting down now. We're getting there. Jesus, getting close.
Well, look forward to seeing you there, and thank you for your time today.
Thanks again, man. Appreciate it. See you guys in Las Vegas.